Good morning and welcome to the Backpack Trader training room for Thursday, December 9th, 2021. Please say hello so I know who's in the room. And if you feel like you're getting value from the content, please do hit that like button. All right, quick start. Crude oil, 902.22. Long trade off of the SMA. That is one of the gold level setups. That gets you long. We ultimately get up here, touch money management, but don't quite get to our target. So we stop out at 71.74 for a break-even trade. Now we have an entry at 71.88 that hasn't been hit yet. And so in the second trade of the morning here on crude, and we'll keep an eye on that. The YM just opened, has a short setup at 619, just triggered in also. All right. So unleaded this morning. Good morning, Miles. All right, YM moving downward. There's money management and target one, so that will be a one and done session on the YM this morning. That will be the POQ trade this morning. Crude coming back up toward its entry on that second trade. Unleaded picking up a short out of the gate this morning at 903.26. Let's make sure it didn't pick up anything earlier than that. Nope. So 903.26 picks up the short. that hits target 2 on the nose and comes back for a partial stop out. And the YM did stop out, so that is done. So unleaded, one and done on Spotlight. YM's one and done. Crude's looking for its second trade. Trying to work its way above the 200 in a meaningful way. So let's take a quick look at Catapult on unleaded. 8:45 start. So that's right in along here. So we're already in the short. So our first trade will be the long. And crude still bouncing along sideways. Oops. All right, and we get a full stop on our first trade on unleaded on Catapult. Nothing on Catapult heating oil yet. We had a get in sync long trade on soybeans. Doesn't look like that would have been tradable. We did come back and pick up a short at 12.52 even on our start time. And that, even if you didn't get in to start with, that's just gotten in sync. So we are short on soybeans. And crude now making a break for it. Trying to break out. And my data is running a little bit behind, it looks like. And heating oil picking up a quick target 3 and then one tick on the trail. So just the scalp target. And the ES making a strong upward move on the open this morning. All right. So soybeans in the short. We were looking at unleaded and see where that goes. We got another long. Hits money management and stops out for a single tick break even. Before going off on a tear. And the YM now in a long is going quite well. But we were POQ on the first trade this morning. Short that goes full stop. Not a pleasant day on unleaded. And another full stop out long. That's 3 losses. That definitely should be done on unleaded. Looks like it's just slightly out of sync because it stops out and then goes to target. And that's been a pattern this morning. So there's a fifth stop ahead. Definitely not a morning to be trading unleaded on catapult. Tough morning. Heating oil with a short now. And crude with a short. Stopping and reversing. All right, soybeans looks like may have hit the stop there. Stop at 12:55.25. Let's see if I can find out if it got there or not. The stop and reverse was filtered. Break even on the heating oil short. Pound Aussie actually got off a nice short this morning, hitting all 4 targets and trailing down below target 2 for a one and done session. And now is in a really noisy pattern. I've been seeing a lot of this, just bouncing back and forth the last couple of days, 8 to 12 pips, and just bouncing back and forth like that. Okay, crude in the, that's a break even. It looks like it hit a target, so that would be, should be a POQ trade. We didn't have much of a loss after getting a partial win on the first trade, so that definitely is going to be a POQ trade. It's the last trade of the mini session anyway. So 1, 2, 3, 4 completed one and done sessions. And there is a long trade now. After soybeans did stop out, we pick up a long that looked like it did come back and just barely hit the entry right on the nose on the pullback. So we should be long on soybeans. Anybody trading soybeans should be. This is soybeans on counterpunch. Target at 1256.25. Actually, that's going to push to 1256.50 because of the two tick chase, and that 2-tick chase actually is what made the target valid, or made that trade valid, or actually the 50 started to move away from the 200, so that actually also brought it back to validity. Our minimum is 6 ticks, so that goes to 1256 or 1256.50. And needing one more tick. All right, let's make that 50. Not much else doing. Quick session this morning. All right, and taking heat on soybeans looks like just kind of back and forth a little bit. Missed target by one tick, and we also need that one additional tick to get money management. All right. Now let's see what the micro ES is doing. It looks like a big move over there. I don't know if it got a trade or not. Nope, didn't get a trade on it yet. I don't think we have a trade possibility there because I don't see a. All right. Yeah, no trade coming on the micro ES because we haven't got a crossover. The next thing we may get would be a short if we're crossing back across on the downside, and a long trade on soybeans stopped out. So that's two full stop outs on soybeans. That trade plan is actually a one and done, typically a one and done. I do follow to get positive I do follow that to see about getting positive on multiple sessions. Normally, it will get the majority of sessions it will get positive. So that's a full stop out on heating oil. Not a whole lot of movement this morning. Are there questions? Looks like we're unleaded is done. Crude is done until 10 a.m. That's about 5 minutes from now. The YM is done. Soybeans should be finished. I wouldn't be trading soybeans anymore this morning. It looks like it's definitely in a consolidation pattern after an overnight move. Pound Aussie is done. I did look at volumes this morning. No, not necessarily all. It's an 8-pip momentum on Pound Aussie. I believe at one point we were using I want to say a 6-pip momentum on the Euro Yen. That's just something you'll have to take a look at the particular charts and test, as we didn't have trade plans for him for just a couple of the. I believe Pound Aussie and Euro Yen were the only things that we actually had trade plans on. The Euro Yen recently or not necessarily recently, but at the time we really stopped looking at it, had just been absolutely dead and just wasn't giving much in the way of trades, let alone good trades. Now, the Pound Aussie 8-pip momentum bar on Pound Aussie is really the only one that we focused on for the last few months. That's of course on Spotlight. Now Counterpunch is probably going to be similar charts to Spotlight, but Spotlight's going to be a little bit pickier for the trades that it's going to take. And I kind of follow. Well, now time frames are not going to have, because the momentum bars are not going to be time-based charts. They're going to be strictly price action charts. The daily chart, the daily and 4-hour charts that we use are for swing trading typically, and that's typically what we've been looking at swing trading much more than momentum bar charts. Would be the time-based charts, the pound yen, and those primarily have been on Counterpunch, because Counterpunch does give you more trades, which when you're looking at swing trading and on daily charts, you're not going to get a lot of trades on Spotlight. You can get very few, probably not enough trades on Spotlight to make it worthwhile. Whereas Counterpunch will give you enough trades to make it worthwhile trading. You just have to do your testing to make sure that you've got a trade plan that is going to give you an advantage before you commit real money to it. One that Troy has tested quite thoroughly and has been running for more than 10 years in positive returns has been the pound yen 4-hour custom chart that Troy introduced probably, I think, about the second boot camp that was done on Counterpunch. Number of years ago. Counterpunch, I believe, was launched in 2015. So it's almost 7 years old. It'll be 7 years old in the first quarter of next year. So it's that trade plan has been out there for over 6 years, producing quite well. That's one I trade. Also part of the Spotlight FX alert service for the swing trades. And another on soybeans that is require a pullback. Chase ticks getting us out of the squeeze zone, and the 50 EMA also turning up away from the 200, so that brings that back. But we'll have to get and that one is going to move also be at 1256.50. And that's the reason that I mentioned the daily, or no, I'm sorry, the day trade charts that we use tend to favor Spotlight on the currencies, whereas the swing trading charts we've done have favored Counterpunch, just because of the numbers of trades when we're looking at swing trade charts. Sure. Hardy asking what charts I'm showing on screen this morning. Upper left is heating oil on Catapult. Top center is crude oil on Spotlight. That's the 8 tick or 8 cent momentum bar, 8 tick range bar on NinjaTrader. Top left is the YM, the Dow E-mini. That's a 14 point momentum bar, 14 tick range bar on Spotlight. Crude is also on Spotlight. Pound Aussie on the lower left is on Spotlight. That's the 8 pip range bar. 8 pip momentum bar or 80 tick range bar, and we do chart the bid price, and that's on Spotlight. Bottom center, we got the Micro ES 5-minute chart. That's the Micro S&P Index 5-minute chart on Catapult. Earlier, I was showing unleaded gas on Spotlight initially, and also on Catapult. Both of those on the 20 tick range bar or 0.002 cent momentum bar, which corresponds to 20 ticks on TradeStation. And finally, on the lower right is soybeans on Counterpunch. Also, one we haven't looked at is bean oil on Catapult, and that was in an early morning trade. Still in an early morning trade. Looks like it just barely hung in there, but still waiting for its first trade of the session this morning. Its trading session starts at 8:30 Central. It's trade out of Chicago, but my charts are all on Eastern time. So that's 9:30 Eastern. is our start time. And there is our 10 o'clock trade on crude oil, short at 71.39. That is a 10 a.m. session trade. Did trigger in, currently above the entry. And that's really what we're looking at this morning. Now, one thing to be aware of, your index products, the YM, the quarterly index products, the YM, anybody working with the Russell and the micro ES. I did look at the micro ES and the YM this morning, and volume is definitely still on the December contract, although in all likelihood those will roll over this week, either tomorrow or Monday, as far as volume goes, to the March contracts. But at least as of today, heating oil is still on January, heating oil, crude, and unleaded are still on January. Soybeans and soybean oil are also still on January, so along with December for the micro ES and the YM. So that's where we stand. But check your volumes and be ready to roll either tomorrow or Monday. I would say if it doesn't roll over tomorrow, it certainly will roll over on Monday. And the volume will transition over. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you're not getting a little different pricing than my charts. I'm seeing some strange slowdowns on my computer this morning, so I wouldn't be surprised my data is not running a little behind. Hardy, we really just are trying to keep a variety of charts up on screen, so that because we do have people running all three different people running each of the three different strategies, so we try to keep examples of all of them in Traderoom at any given time. Yeah, it looks like my data is running quite a bit behind. It hasn't picked up yet. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like my crude data is running almost 10 minutes behind. I'm putting in an order for a new laptop today to be traveling with over the holidays. So hopefully that will help matters. And it looks like we have the possibility of that may not be a 10 a.m. session trade, or it might be, depending on where the data is when we get to 10 a.m. I think my crude chart may have stopped working. And it looks like all of my data feeds may be down. That's a 10 o'clock bar on the micro ES. Yeah, looks like my futures data feeds are down. Housey still looks like it's up to date. It's actually a different data feed. I would do that, but then I've got to have two different connections outgoing when I'm in the room, and I just haven't gotten the time to do that lately. Is pick up a VPN. I'd love to set that up. Or yeah, VPS. My problem there is most of the VPSs I run into, I can run the VPS on a single screen, but I can't run multiple screens, which is the way that I typically trade with, I've got charts on, I've got things going on multiple different screens. Yeah, soybeans just going back and forth. Now it's set up a new short, 1251.75. And our third trade there, the long is in trouble. Okay, looks like data started and it's still way behind. All right, folks, unless there are questions this morning that we can just talk through, I think we're pretty well done with everything except the crude 10 o'clock session anyway. Actually, I don't believe they're not supporting Ninja 7 now with anything but security updates. And given the tools available in Ninja 8, the fact it's multi-threaded, the ability to attach orders to indicators, unlimited unlimited target levels in your ATM strategies, things like that. I think it's 8 is a much more powerful tool. I've been running on the 64-bit version of 7 and 8, but now 8 being multi-threaded handles data much better because it is multi-threaded now. You don't get, when you do a refresh on Ninja 7, you actually lose some ticks on your data feed because it is single-threaded. And you lose the ticks that go by while it's actually doing a refresh versus Ninja 8, which being multi-threaded can handle the data and the refresh at the same time. And as far as I'm aware, Don, 7 won't stop working completely, but at this point, or really, I actually switched over to 8 fairly early. I started 8 fairly early on when it was actually but still in beta stages, and found that I really liked the tools were significantly better within NinjaTrader 8, and that's why I went ahead to 8. My initial decision to go with NinjaTrader is that was already a customer of Interactive Brokers and used that fairly regularly. And I use that for my futures trading, although I'm looking at transitioning away from that because of they really don't give day traders much break because you're basically on full intraday margin requirement or intraday margin requirements, which are much closer to intraday margins within the market than most of your other futures brokers. But since NinjaTrader interfaced directly with the broker I was already using, that was one of the major drivers that caused me to go NinjaTrader over TradeStation. Both platforms have advantages and disadvantages. There are some tools that are much better on NinjaTrader than on TradeStation. There are some tools that are better on TradeStation. I would love to have the granular ability to set the time frames, or the to actually set each chart on exchange time. So I have like the YM and soybeans, micro ES running on Central Time, heating oil, crude oil, the pound Aussie and unleaded gas running on Eastern, which are all exchange times for me anyway. My forex broker is based on Eastern time, so that does make it simpler. But that's just one of the things with NinjaTrader is you have to select one time zone, and that all of your charts are in that time zone. Doesn't necessarily have to be your local computer clock, but you can only select one time zone. But for a room like this, that's a major advantage that TradeStation has, in that each chart can be set in exchange time, and we can always talk. If everybody's talking exchange time, it's much simpler to understand. But yeah, based on the state of the software at this point, I don't see any reason to stay on NinjaTrader 7. And Troy's new strategies are not supporting Ninja 7. He's only programmed to Ninja 8 at this point. Yeah, it looks like I'm still running about 15 minutes behind. I wonder. I need to check to see if that. And there's our short trade on the micro ES. That actually, we were out of our trade window 8:35 to 9 Central Time. So that's 9:35 to 10 on my chart. So we are waiting for 10:30. Looks like we did hit target 1 on the crude trade. So that is a 1 and done on this session. And it looks like that did, let's see, no. Let's see, when did that long come up? Yep, that came up early. Let's see if we got, but you did get in sync, and that would be a 1 and done for the session. Any other questions this morning? Yes, Ninja 7 basically, as far as the backpack trader is concerned, they stopped support programming new things for it with Catapult. Catapult is only available for Ninja 8 and TradeStation. Seven is still available for download on the NinjaTrader website, but it doesn't have, especially for existing users, it's not even have it doesn't even have a specific slide. It's just a separate link to the last version that came out. All right, folks. I don't see any new questions coming in. And it looks like our charts are pretty well done. That crude long trade did stop out 20 minutes ago. So I think the chart that actually does give the best returns has been over the years has been crude. It took me a while because I came out of the exploration production industry. I knew too much about the industry, and I was hesitant to trade crude initially, so I traded some other things to start with. And for quite a while, the Russell was doing very well. The Russell, with the major increase in volatility that happened around the beginning of COVID, and what happened with COVID, has been a totally different market. Just has not been nearly as good. After a few years away from the oil and gas industry, I actually did transition into trading crude and have been very happy with it. But markets change. So what's over the long term, I think crude probably has to be and that has been true across. It's been Troy's go-to for a couple of reasons, because it gives lots of trade opportunities as examples for a trade room like we run. But it also has been a profitable market, and it's one you can get into and get out of and be done. That's things that Troy's philosophy, and I have to very much agree with it. is I want to get in and get out. No, I get my trading done and have the rest to do what I want to do. Yes, I do like the spotlight mini session concept using the 8 cent momentum bar, 8 tick range bar, depending on your platform, because it limits the numbers of trades you take on any given session. But it also, if you have a bad session, it also gives you additional sessions to get back to positive for that day. And I really have liked trading the crude mini session concept. I also traded unleaded gas before I got into trading crude. But that was, as I say, that was my alternative to trading crude initially, because I wasn't comfortable with the trades that I was making, knowing what I knew about the industry. And let's face it, the futures markets are not fundamental driven. They're much more emotionally driven, emotional and news driven. So I was not comfortable in crude initially, but after it was 3 or 4 years after I retired from the industry, after I got out of the industry, before I was comfortable to come in and take the trades as they presented, and not think about. Yeah, that's sometimes easier said than done. And of course, the opposite is true as well. News can work for us. News makes it more volatile, which for day traders is a good thing in most cases. When it's going back and forth hard is when it gets to be really dangerous for the day traders. But trading news after news is certainly not a bad. That's one of the things we use with the crude oil inventory report. Is we take advantage of the volatility that the report that news puts into the market. So it's a double-edged. Now if you're holding a position into news, that's a whole different story. Then it can go either way, and you don't necessarily know it's going to go with you or against you. But trading the volatility after a news release is certainly something that we traditionally do. Oh yes, you need very, very consistent internet. When markets, whether markets are moving fast or not, you really need a very stable internet connection, because if you lose control of a trade, you can get in real trouble real fast, because you are trading futures on a leveraged basis. So if you lose control of that trade, leverage can go against you very rapidly. And even though I have a fiber connection, I'm not sure if it's been computer. This computer is getting a little long in the tooth. I'm not sure if it's been computer related or if it's my internet. I think it's internet. My internet connection. Well, the bandwidth is there, but I think I've got some DNS issues that are slowing things down, because I'm not having some problems, not just with the charts, but with some other things like streaming and what have you. All right, folks. Any questions this morning? Looks like like we ticked into a short. Actually, no, we wouldn't have. Yeah, we would have, because it stopped out the long. And so that's 4 full stop outs on soybeans this morning. Soybeans just going back and forth and just oscillating around the EMAs, it looks like. All 3 moving averages coming right in together there in the 1253 to 1254 range. Yeah, the market makers definitely will go after stops at times. That's why that's part of the art. You have to be a little aware of that too, and think about where things might occur. And the other side of that is you have moving averages on every chart are a little bit different. So some things will be fairly obvious, but some won't necessarily be quite as obvious. All right, folks. And heating oil giving a nice long trade there. It kind of slowed down for a while. Yeah, looks like all of my futures charts are running 15 minutes or so behind. All right, I believe I'm going to call it a day. Everybody have a wonderful afternoon and a good weekend. Good luck in your trading tomorrow morning. Everybody has a day to trade on their own. Get more comfortable with what you're doing without Troy or I talking at you. And try it on your own and see what works for you. So everybody have a good, and we will see everybody tomorrow. Actually, no, I won't see everybody tomorrow. I'll see everybody on Monday. And basically a regular schedule next week. And I will have to see what Troy has in mind for Christmas week. Hard to believe we're just a couple of weeks away from Christmas. 2 weeks from Saturday.